Colonel Sylvester, Colonel Smith, Senator Mathewson, Representative Marshall, Representative Rock, Mayor Lee, and all of our invited friends and guests for this dedication. I'm happy to welcome all of you to the dedication of the Wentworth Hall of Honor. It collects in one spot the deeds and careers of those whose lives were dedicated to the service of their country and our armed forces. To read the deeds of these men who once wore the Wentworth uniform and walked in these same halls is inspiring beyond words. Before the day is over, I hope each of you has the opportunity to read these stories of these remarkable men. The honoree I'm going to introduce first is going to give us the dedicatory address. As a student graduating from Wentworth in 1912, he stood at the top of his class. As company commander of A Company, he was the first captain, the ranking cadet in our corps. At the University of Chicago, he was an athlete, a scholar, a university marshal, and a Phi Beta Kappa. In World War I, he was a Marine company commander in France with the 6th Marine Regiment. His company produced 2 of the 7 Medals of Honor issued to the United States Marine Corps during World War I. He himself has the distinction of wearing the Distinguished Service Cross, the Navy Cross, the Silver Star, the Purple Heart, the French Croix de Guerre, and the World War I Victory Medal with 4 battle stars, a remarkable war record. He has since devoted his life to Wentworth Military Academy, where more than any other individual, he truly represents this school in all that it stands for. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present my father, Colonel J.M. Sellers, President of Wentworth.
It was 105 years ago that my father changed the name of Wentworth Male Academy to Wentworth Military Academy. At the time he did this, he had no premonition of how important the name military loomed in the history to come of Wentworth. He added military instruction to Wentworth because the instruction of military life, which was at that time and still is supposed to be, to produce gentlemen and scholars. This was his idea, and the military schedule, daily schedule, took the place of what we now know as the extracurricular activities that are common to all of our institutions. In those days, they did not have all of the athletic teams and the other activities that were needed. The military instruction at Wentworth filled that gap and gave a purpose to the daily life of the cadets in those days. My father didn't realize that very soon the instruction of military matters would play an important part in the life of the cadets who went here. It was a very short time before the Spanish-American War came. Of course, in some ways, the Spanish-American War might be considered as a sort of a comic opera war. From then on, the advantages that our cadet graduates had in their knowledge of military instruction that they received here played them in good stead. And as a result, Wentworth, I think, can be proud and boast of the finest record of its graduates of any school of its kind, whether large or small. We claim that, and we think we do so with a great deal of justice. The men whose pictures are behind me here in the Hall of Honor, many of whom were cadets under me when I was a cadet and when I was a member of the faculty. Many of them, some of them were cadets with me and preceded me. Now, I do not like to enumerate any single individual as having great importance, but there was one whom I should like to mention. He was given here in 1889 and 91. He later went to WMA. He came back as a member of the staff. He was in the Spanish-American War as a member of the Missouri State Guard. He later became a second lieutenant in the regular Army and returned to Wentworth from 1904 to 1908 to head up the military instruction here. And it was under him that the great military tradition of Wentworth was built up. Under him, the three generals for whom our honor guard is named were cadets. I knew him. I was a very young cadet the last year that he was combat. His name was E.A. Hickman. And to him can be attributed many of the traditions of military life that appears in Wentworth. This Hall of Honor is something that we should have had some time ago. And I want to congratulate the members of our staff who fixed it up and who inaugurated the recognition that we should give to our old boys. This Hall of Honor, I hope, will never be added to, because I trust that we shall not have the dismal experience of going to war again. But if it should happen that our people will be called to arms again, I know that Wentworth boys will be in the forefront of that group. So, in this very short dedicatory address, may I express the hope that this Hall of Honor will be forever a source of pride to our old boys, a source of inspiration to our cadets who come on, and who I am sure will carry on the tradition of loyalty, of service to their country, and love of the United States. I thank you.